Let us consider Mieszko II Lambert, a man who, by the accident of birth and the stubbornness of his father, found himself wearing a royal crown in a century that devours crowns with enthusiasm. I do not speak down to you, friends. You know as well as I that the 11th century rewarded boldness only to punish it twice over. Yet Mieszko's ascent was no mere inheritance. It was a culmination of Piast ambition, imperial distraction, and a brief moment when Poland's neighbors were too busy quarreling with one another to prevent a coronation. Mieszko was the son of Bolesław the Brave, who expanded Poland with such vigor that the borders bulged like an overfilled wineskin. Bolesław left his son Kraków to govern, a residence at Wawel, and a reputation that terrified some and irritated others. But he left his enemies on every frontier and nobles who had grown accustomed to a king who solved problems by hitting them with an army. Mieszko, alas, preferred letters, treaties, and Latin quotations, a suspicious combination in any age. Before he ever wore a crown, Mieszko was dispatched as an emissary to Bohemia in 1014, where he was promptly imprisoned, a common diplomatic courtesy in those days. Freed by Henry II, sent to Merseburg as a hostage, released again, one sees the pattern. Yet these experiences hardened him and taught him the rhythms of imperial politics. He paid homage at Magdeburg, governed Krakow, and learned that the empire respected Poland only when Poland carried a large stick. Imperial transition. Henry II died in 1024, leaving the empire in the hands of Conrad II, who was still consolidating power. A distracted emperor is a coronation's best friend. Piast prestige. Bolesław had already secured recognition of Polish royal dignity. Archbishopric at Gniezno stood ready, and Archbishop Hippolyte was willing to crown a Piast without waiting for imperial permission. Regional turbulence. Bohemia, Hungary, and Kievan Rus were all preoccupied with their own dynastic quarrels. No neighbor was in a position to object loudly. Thus, in 1025, Mieszko II was crowned King of Poland at Gniezno Cathedral, a bold act, but not an inexplicable one. Once crowned, he behaved like a king, which is to say, he immediately annoyed the empire. He invaded Saxony in 1028, raided again in 1030, and earlier had besieged Meissen with little success. Conrad II responded with the patience of a man who enjoys sieges. Bautzen in 1029, Mieszko in 1031. Meanwhile, Bohemia under Bretislaw seized Moravia, and Yaroslav of Kiev took Red Ruthenia. Poland's borders shrank like parchment held too close to a candle. Into this chaos stepped Bezprym, Mieszko's brother, who invited Yaroslav's intervention and seized the throne in 1031. He even sent the royal regalia to Conrad II, a gesture so humiliating that even the chroniclers hesitate to describe it. Mieszko fled to Bohemia, where Osric imprisoned and castrated him. Yes, castrated. The chronicles are distressingly unanimous. Released in 1032, he returned to a kingdom divided and a dignity severely diminished. At Merseburg in 1032, Mieszko met Conrad II and surrendered the royal crown. Poland was divided among Mieszko, Otto, and Dietrich, a partition that satisfied no one and solved nothing. By 1034, when Mieszko died suddenly at Poznań, the realm was exhausted, the monarchy discredited, and the great pagan reaction was gathering like a storm cloud. His burial in the cathedral at Poznań was dignified. The state he left behind was not. Yet the dynasty endured through his marriage to Richeza of Lotharingia, a union that linked the Piast
to the great houses of the empire. Their children carried the line forward. Richeza Adelaide became Queen of Hungary, mother of Geza, Ladislao, Lampert, and two daughters who married into Saxony, Olomouc, and Croatia. Gertrude Olisava married Vyacheslav of Kiev, becoming Grand Princess and mother of Yaropolk of Turov. Casimir, the future Casimir the Restorer, would rebuild what his father lost, though that tale belongs to another episode. Thus, even as the kingdom fractured, the Piast bloodline threaded itself through Hungary, Kiev, and beyond. Let us be just. Mieszko II was not incompetent. He was overmatched. He inherited a swollen realm, hostile neighbors, treacherous kin, and a nobility allergic to obedience. He sought to rule with learning and legitimacy, but the age demanded iron and intimidation. Had he lived in calmer decades, he might have been remembered as Mieszko the Learned. Instead, history, with its usual cruelty, remembers him as the king who lost what his father built. Next time, we march to Brůdek's forested fray, where Conrad learns what Bohemian hills can slay.